My son whispered to me, "Mommy, Daddy has a lover, and they're going to take all your money." That sentence cut my life into before and after. My name is Leena. I am 36. I am a mother, a woman who thought she understood her marriage, and someone who kept forgiving long after she should have stopped. This is the story of the night my 8-year-old son told me something no child should ever have to say, and how that one whisper changed everything. It was a Tuesday night, not an anniversary, not a holiday, just a regular, tired Tuesday. Leftover pasta in a pan, 2 forgotten work emails, and reminding my kid to brush his teeth properly because he always forgets the back ones. The TV hummed, the washing machine rumbled. Life felt ordinary. On the surface, it looked like any other night we'd had for years. The same couch, the same chipped mug on the coffee table, the same school bag dropped near the door because Armin never remembered to put it on the hook. But under that normal, something was hollow. My husband, Caleb, was working late again. Years ago, that meant real overtime. Deadlines, client calls, actual stress. I used to make him coffee at midnight, sit beside him while he complained about colleagues, and feel weirdly proud that he was needed at work. Recently, it had become something else, a vague excuse with no details, a curtain over something I wasn't allowed to see. He stopped giving specifics. No project names, no client stories, just, you know how it is, and a tired smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. You feel it when something changes, in the way eyes slide past you, in the way a phone becomes a second heartbeat. I felt it. The half-second delay before he answered questions, the way he angled his screen away from me, the way he took his phone with him even to the bathroom. But I didn't want to be that wife. Paranoid, insecure, always checking and questioning. I had watched friends go through messy, suspicious phases. Endless phone checking, tracking locations, arguing over every unread message. I had promised myself I'd never live like that. So I chose silence. Silence felt like dignity, or that's what I told myself. Deep down, if I'm honest, silence also felt safer than knowing. That night, I tucked my son into bed. His name is Armin, 8 years old, all knobby knees and wide eyes, with a stubborn cowlick that never stays down. I kissed his forehead, pulled the blanket up, and did our little routine. "Good night, soldier," I said. "Good night, Captain Mom," he grinned. He smelled like soap and toothpaste and childhood. I turned off the main light, left the warm glow of his night lamp, and walked toward the door. Halfway there, a small hand grabbed my wrist. "Mom?" he whispered. His voice wasn't sleepy or playful. It was scared. I sat on the edge of his bed. I could barely see his face, just the outline of his lashes. "Yes, baby?" He swallowed. His fingers twisted the blanket. "Can I tell you something?" he said. "But you have to promise not to be mad." That's the sentence no child should ever have to say. My stomach tightened. My voice stayed soft. "I promise," I said. "I won't be mad at you. Never at you. You can tell me anything." He looked at the door, then at me, then pulled me close so his lips were near my ear. "Mommy," he whispered, "Daddy has a lover, and they're going to take all your money." For a second, I forgot how to breathe. My brain froze on 3 words: Daddy, lover, money. Not just cheating, planning. I pulled back to see his face. His eyes were shiny, not with tears yet, just the effort of being brave. My first instinct was denial, automatic, protective. "Armin," I said slowly, "why would you say that? Who told you something like that?" He shook his head. "Nobody told me," he said. "I heard it." He gripped my wrist tighter. "Mom, please don't tell Dad I said it. He'll be angry. He told me not to listen." My heart broke and hardened at the same time. There was a time Caleb used to tell Armin, "Always tell the truth, especially to your mom." Now my son was learning the opposite lesson from his father. "Okay," I said gently. Tell me what you heard. You're not in trouble, I promise. Just tell me exactly what you heard. He took a shaky breath. I woke up last night, he said, because I heard Dad talking in the kitchen. I thought maybe he was on the phone with you or Grandma. I went to get water. I stood behind the big chair because I didn't want to scare him. He wasn't on the phone, Mom. He was on video. My chest tightened. He was talking to a lady, he continued. The one with the red hair. The one who came when you were at Nani's house. She smelled like strawberries. I remembered. A colleague dropping off documents. Too bright smile for him, barely a nod for me. And that little voice in my head back then. Don't be jealous. Don't be crazy. I had shut it down. What did you hear? I asked, my voice low and steady. He said, his voice dropped. He said, don't worry, baby. Once everything is in the new account, she can't touch it. Then we're free. My whole body went cold. Then the lady said, his eyes filled. She said, what about your son? Won't she fight you for him? And Dad laughed a little and said, she doesn't have money for lawyers. She'll take whatever I give her. There it was. Not a mistake. Not a one-time lapse. A plan. My chest ached. And then Armin swallowed. He turned and saw me. I think you pressed a button because the lady disappeared. He got mad. He told me it was just a movie. He said I shouldn't repeat what I heard because it would make Mommy sad for no reason. But Mom, it sounded real. A single tear slid down his cheek. I don't want anyone to take your money, he whispered. I don't want anyone to take you away. He didn't say, I don't want Dad to go. He said, I don't want you taken. Something in me broke cleanly. The part that said, it's probably nothing. The part that made excuses. The part that chose silence. It died right there on the edge of my son's bed. I wiped his tear and kissed his forehead. Thank you for telling me, I said, steady but heavy. You did the right thing. You are never wrong for telling me the truth. He sniffled. Are you mad at Dad? He asked. I thought of all the answers that would help me for 10 seconds and hurt him for years. I chose the slow truth. I'm hurt, I said softly. And I'm sad. And I'm also proud of you for being brave. I smoothed his hair. But listen carefully, okay? I waited for his eyes. Whatever happens between Dad and me, you are not to blame. Not even a little. Do you understand? He nodded. I love you, I whispered. More than anything, more than anyone, more than any money in this world. That will never change. He let out a shaky breath and curled into his pillow. Will you stay until I sleep? He asked. I lay beside him, feeling his body relax, watching his lashes lower. On the outside, I was still. On the inside, I was already standing in front of a screen full of numbers, balances, transfers, dates, and quiet, careful betrayal. When he finally slept, I slipped out and closed his door gently. The house was silent, not peaceful, heavy, watching silence. Caleb wasn't home yet. There was a time when his late arrival meant I'd be worried for his safety. Now I was worried for our future. I went to the kitchen, the place my son had stood behind the chair. For a moment, I just stood, hand on the counter, breathing. Then I moved. I opened our banking app. Joint account, savings, mortgage. He had always handled the big things, better with numbers. My job was everything else. I had believed we were a team. I had believed ours meant both of us. Tonight, I saw the numbers differently. Withdrawals, transfers, regular bills, yes, electricity, internet, school fees, but also other movements. Small amounts, some larger, often on days he was extra busy. Some labeled business, some transfer, some with no label. My heart pounded. One investment account wouldn't open. I didn't have the password. He'd set it up for our future, promising to show me later. Later never came. Later, I began to understand, was never meant to come for me. I opened his messages. Not from jealousy, from survival. Red-haired Rose was there. Not her real name, but close enough. No explicit photos, no stupid heart emojis. He wasn't that careless. Just lines like, "Wish you were here. Soon this will all be behind us." And then the one message that tied everything together. "Relax. The lawyer said as long as the account isn't in her name, she can't claim it. I'll move the rest next week." Next week. My son's whisper echoed. They're going to take all your money. Not just he. They. He wasn't just cheating. He was planning a new life built on mine. I put the phone down. I thought about the last few years. How often I'd put off buying things for myself because we should save. How many times I'd said, "It's okay, we can wait," while he told me we were being responsible. I thought about the time my car needed repairs and he said, "Don't worry, I'll handle it," and made me feel like asking for help was a burden. Now I realized he hadn't been handling things for us. He had been arranging the exit route for himself. For a moment, I imagined smashing plates, screaming when he walked in. 30 seconds of satisfaction. Then he'd call me crazy, wipe the evidence, move faster. No. If he wanted strategy, I would answer with strategy. Not revenge. Protection. The next morning, while he was in the shower, I made my first quiet move. I texted my cousin Tara. She's the one we go to when papers are confusing or people push too far. She works at a law firm. I wrote, "Hey, hypothetically, if a husband is secretly moving joint money, what should his wife do? Asking for a friend." Her reply was fast. "If your friend is you, she needs a lawyer. Privately. Today." Then, does she have access to statements, screenshots, dates, amounts? Tell her to collect everything. Say nothing to him yet. My chest clenched. There was no, "You're overthinking." No, "I'm sure it's nothing." Just clear, direct concern. While Caleb shaved, I moved quietly through the house. Photos of statements, screenshots of transfers, saved and sent to an email he didn't know existed. A backup for my life. I remembered my father once telling me, "Always know where your money is, Leena. Not because you don't trust people, but because you need to be able to stand if everyone else steps away." I had ignored that advice. Now it came back like a warning I hadn't heard in time. When he came into the kitchen, he kissed my cheek. "Hey," he said. "Sorry I came in late. Crazy day." I poured his coffee. "Yeah? Everything okay?" I asked. He launched into a client story, too long, too detailed, like a man over-explaining a simple thing. I watched him like a stranger. Something in me had shifted. I wasn't searching his face for love anymore. I was searching for truth. That afternoon, while Armin was at school, I met Tara at her office. She'd arranged a consult with one of the lawyers. The waiting room smelled like paper and old air. People sat with folders in their hands, lives reduced to documents. When it was my turn, I sat across from a woman with tired, sharp eyes. I told her about the late nights, the transfers, the messages, my son's whisper. I didn't cry. I spoke like someone giving a report. She listened, then said, "Leena, you are not crazy. You are not overreacting. Your husband is most likely separating himself financially before he separates legally. He is moving money, setting up accounts you can't see, and following advice on how to protect himself while leaving you exposed." My stomach turned. "What can I do?" I asked. "You act," she said. "Not emotionally, legally." Her plan was simple but heavy. Flag large transfers if the bank allows it. Get full statements for the last 2 years. Open an account in my own name. Move enough to survive if he locks me out, not enough to look like an attack. Document everything. And don't warn him, she added. If he feels warned, he'll hide more. It feels like betrayal, I said. It is, she answered. But right now, your priority isn't his guilt. It's your safety. At the door, she added, your son is already in the middle. Be honest in a way he can hold. He needs to know his mother is not helpless. Her words followed me all the way home. The next weeks were a double life. Outside, we were normal. Dinner, TV, homework, small jokes. We still took Armin to school together sometimes. From the outside, we probably looked like any other family trying to keep up. Underneath, everything moved. I opened my own account, moved what the lawyer advised, signed forms, requested statements. I noticed the face-down phone, the balcony calls, the "I'm exhausted" every time I tried to talk. Once I asked, "Are you happy?" He sighed and said, "Can we not do this right now? I'm tired." That had become his shield. I'm tired. Too tired to talk. Never too tired to hide. At night, I sat on the bed and traced the numbers. The story was clear. He had been slowly emptying our shared future into a life without me. He wasn't planning a conversation. He was planning an escape. Then one night, he slipped. I was folding laundry when his phone lit up. Message preview from Rose. Tickets confirmed. One way. Can't believe we're finally doing this. Did you move the last of it? He was in the shower. I took a photo. My hands were steady. There are moments in life when your heart breaks loudly. This wasn't one of them. This felt like a lock clicking open on a door I hadn't wanted to see. Decision. The next day, I went back to the lawyer. I want to file, I said. She nodded. Okay. We'll file for legal separation and an emergency financial order. We'll freeze what we can before he moves anything else. It will be hard, but it will protect you and your son. I choose that, I said. For the first time in a long time, I chose something that would hurt now to save me later. Good, she replied. Then we begin. Serving the papers was simple, an envelope delivered to his office. The storm happened at home. He came in with his jaw tight, eyes hard, shutting the door too fast. Leena, he said, what did you do? I looked up from Armin's homework. Sweetheart, I told my son. Go set the table. I'll be right there. He nodded and left. The sound of his small footsteps down the hallway hurt more than Caleb's voice. I protected myself, I said, and our son. He threw the envelope down. This is protection? Anger on his face, fear underneath. You went through my accounts, he said. You're trying to trap me. I looked at the accounts with my name on them, I replied. The ones you've been draining while planning your exit with your lover? He flinched. "What are you talking about?" he said, but even he didn't sound sure. "Our son heard you," I said, "in the kitchen, on video, talking about moving everything so I couldn't touch it. He's 8. He didn't invent that." He looked shaken. "You dragged Armin into this?" he asked. "No," I said. "You did." He sank into a chair. "You could have just talked to me," he muttered. "I did," I said. "For years. You didn't listen. So now I'm done talking. Now I act." In the next room, cutlery clinked softly. The most innocent sound in the house suddenly felt like the loudest. "So what now?" he asked quietly. "Now the law gets involved," I said. "You explain to a judge why you moved money in secret. I show evidence. We talk custody, support, division. We don't argue about whether you had a lover. That part is already clear." For a moment, he looked like the man I once knew. Not because he was kind, but because he was caught. The months after were heavy. Hearings, motions, bank records like maps on a table. The forensic accountant followed the money into her account on his late nights. His lawyer called it business. Mine showed the messages. I had to sit and listen while strangers repeated private parts of my life like they were reading ingredients on a label. He tried to use my anxiety and therapy to make me look unstable. The irony was almost funny. The man who drove me to therapy now wanted to use it against me. My lawyer leaned in. "Breathe. He's losing control of the story." There were days I wanted to give up, to say, "Fine, take the money, just leave me alone." But every time I felt that, I remembered Armin's whisper, "I don't want anyone to take you away." This wasn't just about money. It was about what I was teaching my son about what his mother deserved. Then came the day Armin was asked if he wanted to speak. He looked so small in that big room. He looked at the judge and asked, "If I say something, will my dad be mad?" "No one here can punish you for the truth," the judge said. Armin looked at me. I nodded. In a small, steady voice, he repeated what he'd heard. The video call. The plan to move everything. "She doesn't have money for lawyers. She'll take whatever I give her." The room went still. You could feel the air change. The judge listened. Caleb couldn't look at his son. In that moment, for the first time, I didn't feel like the weaker one in the room. I felt like the only adult who had decided not to lie. In the end, the judge ruled. The diverted funds had to be returned or explained. Large transfers needed joint consent. Custody was shared with clear schedules and rules. Then the judge looked at Caleb. "Whatever problems you had, quietly moving assets while planning another life is not just a private mistake. It has legal weight. And letting your child overhear this has consequences." For the first time, his anger looked smaller than his shame. It was no longer my job to carry it. When the final order was signed, I sat alone in my small new apartment. 2 bedrooms, tired balcony, parking lot view. It was mine. The account in my name, the lease in my name, the responsibility and the freedom both in my name. Armin was at school. The kettle hissed. The clock ticked. I made tea and stood by the window. No more double life. No more checking phone locations. No more pretending not to see what I already knew. Just me, my son, and a future I could actually see. Later, when Armin came home, he ran in with a drawing. It was a stick figure picture, a small boy holding a woman's hand. On top, he'd written, "Me and Mom, safe." I didn't frame it. I kept it in the drawer by my bed. Some victories don't need a wall. They just need a place close to your heart. Sometimes at night, I still hear his small voice. "Mommy, Daddy has a lover, and they're going to take all your money." I don't hear it as a curse anymore. I hear it as an alarm that finally woke me up. Not a story where I destroyed him. A story where I accepted that love without respect isn't love. A story where my son will know his mother did not disappear silently under someone else's choices. He'll know that when something is wrong, you don't just cry and hope. You move. You act. You protect yourself. You go to the bank. You call the lawyer. You sign the papers. You build a life that cannot be emptied behind your back. If you're listening and something in your chest feels tight, if you recognize your own working late or your own strange withdrawals, hear me. You are not crazy for noticing. You are not dramatic for asking questions. You are not ungrateful for wanting honesty about money and loyalty. You don't have to wait until there's nothing left. You're allowed to protect yourself quietly, to collect proof, to get advice, to open your own account, to breathe without permission. You're allowed to be the woman who refuses to let her life be treated like a hidden transaction. My name is Leena. My son whispered the truth to me. My husband tried to move everything in the dark. He built his exit with money and lies. I built mine with courage, documents, and the love of a boy who wouldn't stay silent when he saw his mother in danger. That difference saved us. If this story made you feel less alone, if even one part of it felt like someone finally said out loud what you've been living in silence, don't lock that feeling away. Share it. Tell a friend. Tell a sister. Tell yourself you're not imagining everything. And if you can, support stories like this. Like the video, subscribe, and tell me in the comments where you're listening from and which part hit you the hardest. Not for numbers, but because every time a story like this travels, another woman realizes she isn't trapped. She just hasn't seen all her exits yet. Thank you for staying till the end. Take a deep breath. You are not alone.